Andy.
Hi. We're doing conspiracies today, right?
Yeah, conspiracies today. Things like the lunar landing being false, stuff like that.
What about our conspiracies?
What do you mean our conspiracies?
Well, Mark.
Mark?
Yeah. You ever notice that he's never flips a line?
What are you talking about? He screws up all the time.
Well, yeah, but none of that ever makes it to air. It's like he's doing some sort of fancy editing.
You mean like he's pulling the strings?
You know what I think he's doing? I think he's doing a fantastic job.
Hey, well, that was nice of you to say.
Wait. I didn't mean to say that. No. You know what I think? I think Mark's cool.
I agree. What's your point?
Wait. No. I didn't mean to say that. That's Mark. He's great. Damn it!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Epic. Today we are talking about conspiracy theories, and with me here to talk about conspiracy theories is Nuke Chas.
Hello.
Fred, Tech, the Clockwork Doctor.
Hello.
Andy.
Hey.
Joel.
How's it going?
And Richard.
I need more names like Fred does. That's awesome.
I feel less fancy. Like,
I do.
You guys have so many names.
I lose track of them all. I just figured I'd put them all out there and you could sort them out later.
We'll have to think of cool nicknames for each other. We'll call this guy the Dirty Mime.
I kind of like Space Pimp.
I'm pointing at Joel. Space Pimp.
Space Pimp works.
Space Pimp.
Okay, so
Pimp, for short.
jump right into conspiracy theories here today. Maybe we should preface this by talking. We're not advocating any conspiracy theories on this show.
No.
Matter of fact, most of the ones that we don't explicitly say are true probably aren't. It's more of a ridicule show. And
Here's the way we'll know if we catch on one that is true, we won't be airing anymore.
yes,
If
you
we
might
suddenly
Or this
disappear,
episode.
you might not
that's
ever
what
see
happened.
us.
If this is our last show, thanks for listening. You've been a great audience.
That being said, they probably won't hear this show then.
Yeah. All right, who wants to jump in first?
No,
Don't
we're
be
all
scared.
We're all a little bit afraid. Just a small amount of us says, yeah, maybe not.
They might be watching.
Okay, let's start off.
Are there any connects in here?
Some what? Canucks?
Connects.
That's my number one, actually.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Segue. I have to start then. Apparently, the Microsoft Kinect has fine print saying that the company is not responsible for any surveillance done by the U.S. government.
Really?
So basically, the U.S. government itself might be tapping into your Xbox Kinect. Not so much with the PlayStation Eye, I guess. But,
Yeah, I believe part of the premise of Paranormal Activity 4 was that ghosts were using the Kinect to use surveillance.
No, it was so that you could. There were certain scenes in it that it was tracking them. So it was like with the green dots were replaced. It was actually tracking other spirits. That's the premise of it.
Well, here's the cool thing is if that were true and they were tracking you with this, I saw kind of a technical demo online. Some guy managed to create a three-dimensional mapping feature with it. Where it started off with like a video of this guy talking, and he was talking about what his project was, and he goes, check this out, and he rotates the scene. And the video we were looking at was filmed with the Kinect, and it was actually a three-dimensional, fully mapped environment.
Now, almost the day that they came out, they were cracked and hacked, and it's a cheap stereo camera setup for anybody doing any sort of 3D work. A ripped open Kinect is...
it's a gold mine.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you think about that, if they're spying on you and recording what you do, they can actually get a three-dimensional model of wherever you have your Kinect set up. So if they were going to, take you in the middle of the night, they would know exactly.
They'd know where the laundry was so they wouldn't trip.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Great.
Is there a GPS unit in the Kinect? Because if that was...
It's called your IP address.
Yeah. Ooh, that is kind of scary.
So now they know your house, they know your layout, they know everything on your walls, they know what's in your DVD collection.
I'll say, which means if they can track your location, they can easily find the blueprints, which are public record.
Now,
or
maybe
they could just watch you when you're sitting in front of the TV in a short skirt. I'm looking at you, Mark. Actually, no. That actually reminded me of there's a vlog that I watch online, and
wow, there's a leap I don't want to understand.
I know. Well, it's two roommates, and they were talking about the Kinect on the Xbox. They were trying to do the voice commands for it, and it wasn't working right. And one of them said, "I don't trust that thing because I was watching TV the other day, sitting on the floor in a skirt, and I watched the eye move down."
Well, I will say that if anyone were to be watching me in my living room all day, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the boardom. My life is really not that exciting.
I have a Kinect at home. It doesn't reach back to my couch. Like any gestures or motions that I do back of the couch, it doesn't track any of it. I had to get up and walk up to the TV.
Yeah, but your couch is a mile away from your TV, so
yeah.
Also, that's the whole point of the Kinect is that you have to be close and moving around
and actually get up off your butt and do something.
That's probably why I never use it. Is there anything else that we wanted to cover today?
Willingly, maybe not.
We can take a trip back in time to the moon landing.
The moon landing.
That's a classic.
This is a classic.
The moon landing has been faked. It's all filmed on. It's all filmed.
They got to him. They got to him in that brief second.
They did.
The show is now compromised.
Abort!
But yeah, so there's the big controversy saying the moon landing was faked and that it was filmed on a soundstage in New Mexico or somewhere ever.
You know, I worked with somebody who would defend that to the death. He would go into arguments that the moon landing was faked. And his whole basis was, I don't believe we had the technology then. I think we do now, but we didn't then. And the only reason we haven't gone back now is because then it would be obvious that they faked it.
But here's the thing.
The thing is, we did have the technology. There's not a whole lot of technology involved. There's a lot of precision work involved. But really, it comes down to, and I think Fred could probably back me up on it, basic ballistics.
Yeah.
They
went to the moon on slide rules and pencil drawings.
Yes.
And that's even more amazing to think about. That they were able to plot those trajectories with just simple math.
Wasn't there one of the astronauts, I don't know if it was on one of the moon missions, but on re-entry there was a computer that failed and he managed to recalculate the re-entry angle with a watch and where the moon was or the stars were or something like that?
Yes.
He managed to get it.
Apollo 13, wasn't it?
No.
In the history of the shuttle program, the entire re-entry plan of the shuttle, like the shuttle enters the atmosphere over Hawaii and lands in New Mexico or Florida, and that entire sequence is all flown by computers. And in the entire history of the space shuttle program, there's only been one pilot fly the entire thing manually, and he was a Marine Corps pilot who wanted the ultimate challenge.
So they just let him do it?
Yeah. Because there's a series of turns that they do to bleed off speed as they enter the atmosphere, and there's only one person who's ever done it themselves. Other than that, it's all machines.
It's very possible that he may not have asked.
Yeah. Hold on. Hey, everybody, hold on to your drinks. I want to try something.
Oh, wait, what?
What could possibly go wrong?
Barrel roll.
and we should keep in mind the original the moon. The original moon pods or whatever that they went up with originally didn't come down in these it was a splashdown, right?
Yep.
So they basically came down, went into the atmosphere, went for a ways, deployed a parachute. That's how they bled off there was nothing really complicated about it. And they splashed down in the ocean. So they had a pretty big target to hit. And they, send a ship out and locate it.
Yep.
Yeah, the reason that there hasn't been any trips back is because there's no money in it.
No, there is no money in it. It was pretty cool to say we did it once, but it's not really cool to say we did it a third, fourth, fifth time. It's just like, all right, what moon rocks? Apparently, they're good portal conductors, but other than that,
there's very little out there that as a resource that needs to be brought back. The movie Moon said that they were mining helium-3 to use as fuel, but until we can start to extract that in any quantities or use it, there's
actually there is a couple of companies that have started recently that are looking at mining asteroids.
Yeah.
And
thank you,
one
James
of them said
Cameron.
they wanted to go back to the moon because there was a kind of a new technology to build like a permanent settlement with like this inflatable something or other that they would build onto.
The inflatable
bouncy castles?
Pretty much,
yeah. Kind of like a space
Awesome.
bouncy castle.
yeah, and getting to
You would
the
bounce
moon,
forever.
it's not really much harder than launching a satellite. all the hard part
It's
is getting
easy stuff.
To escape velocity and getting up to the proper orbit and everything.
Yeah, you just need to carry either another stage or more fuel that once you're in orbit, you just
Kick yourself out.
add enough speed to kick out of orbit.
Right. And then it's, your momentum will carry you all the way to the moon. And the gravitational pull of the moon is actually pretty low compared to Earth. You could,
1/6.
yeah, you could do some stuff there. Right.
L. Gordon Cooper
What's that?
is the name of the guy that actually manually flew back.
Okay.
Interesting.
So
Go, Mr. Cooper.
to move this along,
Yes.
we can talk about another one, which is space related. This goes to kind of the opposite of, instead of leaving the planet somewhere else, something coming here. I'm speaking of the Roswell, New Mexico
Oh, right.
aliens.
Oh, yes.
That's one of the more popularized.
Is that tied in with Area 51?
Yes.
Yeah, the
No.
whole,
Yes.
whole deal. And there's actually a TV show called Roswell.
Was.
Yeah, or was.
It had a clever spin on it.
It did, yeah. Yeah, I really like that series.
The clever spin being that the Roswell crash was real, and they left pods, and then the pods hatched in like the 80s, and they were kids.
Yeah.
And then
they
suddenly
grew up,
sexy teens.
grew up as
Wasn't
sexy
one of them
teenagers.
Katherine
Yeah.
Heigl?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Because that beauty cannot be made on Earth.
That's funny.
We can keep trying.
I have another conspiracy theory relating to a television show. Cancellation of Firefly. That had to have been orchestrated by
Oh.
a conspiracy.
Well, it's Fox.
There, I think what
Enough
happened
said.
there is Joss Whedon pissed someone off at Fox to the point where this guy is just going to hold a grudge, and he's gonna pretend not to and say, "Oh yeah, let's do a new show. Come on here, we'll wait, and that's gonna be awesome." And then right when it gets popular, he's gonna cancel it.
Maybe it wasn't.
And then the
maybe
next time it comes along, he's gonna say, "Oh no, I'm over that now, Joss. It's fine. We're gonna come on. We'll come on back." It's like Lucy and the football with Charlie Brown.
Yeah. There's been talk recently that maybe it wasn't Joss, maybe it was Summer Glau.
That she flipped out and killed everyone.
No, that somebody's canceling every show that she's on.
Oh.
Aww.
It's been
No, I think it's-
Terminator. Before that was Firefly, and most recently she was on another one that got canned recently.
Yeah, but
too.
Terminator got two
Oh.
seasons.
Terminator got 2 seasons. Yes.
Oh, she was on The Cape as well.
The Cape and Alphas was another one that she was on recently.
She
Just
was
got
on
canceled.
Alphas?
Yeah, she at the very end. She
Oh.
just came on and
Wow.
She was
got
on
canceled.
4400 too.
Was that canceled?
I don't know. I haven't finished it yet.
What's 4400?
The 4400. It was the 4400 people that were abducted suddenly came back to Earth. Just showed up one day.
So basically, space aliens came down, sucked up that many people. All of a sudden, boop, back on Earth, and there's no one left.
I think they were abducted over a long period
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was just one day. It was just like, oh, there they all are in a field.
Yep.
And nobody's left on Earth? Or?
No, people
No,
are
it's
left on
just-
Earth.
Yeah,
I lied
it's
about the
just-
last
they're
part.
in a field. They just get the aliens like, nah, we don't want you anymore, and they just
all
dump them
done.
Reject.
We're done probing you.
Return to
It's
sender.
our alien governments canceled their zoo, so we had to put you back.
Cutbacks.
Budget
It-
cuts.
it's
It's a catch and release program.
yeah.
Now they all have like these little metal tags around their wrist or neck.
So we've heard a conspiracy
earring.
from Thor the Thunder God. We've heard one from the Dirty Mime and
Richard.
baseball hat guy. What about Pretty Bonnet? Have we heard one from you yet?
Well, as I was going through and looking at all the different conspiracies, I found a very interesting tie. So many conspiracy theories draw back to the concept of the New World Order. That a lot of these conspiracy theorists believe that there is a New World Order coming around, that there are people in charge that are deciding these things. So conspiracy theories including contrails. Yes, no. What they believe is that when you see a plane go overhead, the trail is not crystallization of water molecules and other things. It is chemicals that is being sent to fall into our atmosphere so that we are going to be easier controlled and more malleable to suggestion.
I thought that was HARP that did that.
That's another one. There is the fluoride in the water. What fluoride is doing to us, according to these theorists, is it's dumbing us down, again, making us easier to control. The Illuminati, the Freemasons, they're all part of this. AIDS was developed in a lab as a way to control the population, and its first test was in Africa, and that's why it spread from there. There is the whole idea that there is concentration camps built under the Denver airport.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
I
because there's a
came across
bunch
that
of
one.
What?
There's
Of what?
apparently like
Oh,
a giant field full of these plastic coffins that are just
Yes,
stacked upon.
you
like,
can see
rows
them.
on
They're
rows
FEMA
and
coffins. So that FEMA will, once we have a military state, FEMA will then start killing people because we've got too many people. And they believe that these plastic containers that FEMA had stored for whatever reason are coffins.
So there's
For that
actual
purpose.
evidence of
Which
these
is-
plastic containers. They
Oh,
They
yes.
are plastic
Yeah.
containers. They're
Yes.
they're not. I don't believe that they are coffins. I
No,
believe
no,
that
they
they're
are,
for
I think.
transporting
they could-
something. But
But here's the thing: is if you're going to run a death camp, why would you bother putting people in coffins when you could just dig a big hole?
yeah, and
throw
especially
it
when
in an
the
Or-
camp under the Denver airport is big enough to take care of it all.
Or
Yeah.
you could shred the bodies up and make Soylent Green.
People.
Now with
delicious.
50% more girls.
Right.
Extra delicious.
There's a lot of very
Yeah.
inappropriate
And actually-
jokes that can be inserted here.
I'm quoting The Simpsons. It's all
I'm glad
good.
there's a girl on the panel because this is all guys. I think this would be unacceptable.
And that it's a girl who said 50% more girls.
Yeah. It was Mark. And also to elaborate on the whole concentration camp thing, it's apparently 8 stories.
Wow.
So 8 stories underground of a major airport.
That's straight on Umbrella Corporation.
Well, isn't that the?
You know what, Mark? It was nice knowing you.
They don't like it when you refer to them by name.
So the conspiracy theory that actually turned out to be true.
Ooh.
Partially true.
There's
at
a few of
least.
them.
Well, the core nugget is true, and then people take it into other directions. The CIA had a project in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s called Project MK Ultra, being the
Best project name ever.
Oh yes,
Totally.
They all
Better
have
than
names.
Blue Daffodil.
and Blue Peacock and all the British ones were always color and then animal. Blue Peacock was a chicken-powered nuclear landmine. It's true. I'll explain it later. It really existed. It was a chicken-powered nuclear bomb. But Project MK
In
Ultra,
partnership with KFC.
Project MK.
Church's
Yeah,
chicken.
Man, you thought their spicy chicken sandwich was spicy before? Oh yeah, try this one. MK Ultra was an umbrella project that had many other projects underneath it, which were CIA mind and thought control experiments. And they go from the very, very mundane to the very, very weird and bizarre. And in the 80s and 90s, they declassified thousands of documents that prove that a lot of these experiments really did happen. Some of them were things like trying to figure out a way to send LSD into war zones, to like fog them over a war zone to disorient the enemy before a major attack. And you can find videos on the internet of soldiers under the effect of LSD trying to see, as they're trying to find a dosage. But when you're fogging it from the air, it's impossible to control the dose, so they drop the whole plan. All the way to some very bizarre ones. And it wasn't just the United States. Canada and other countries were also involved in these experiments, and there's some very bizarre ones that Canada had at mental hospitals where they would find patients. One of them was trying to do things like hypnotic suggestion. So they would induce a person into a coma and then blast speakers into their room while they slept in a coma to see if the suggestion would take when they woke up. And there's lots of stories of abuse of patients. Imagine being in a coma or being asleep for 3 weeks while a speaker blares one word at you, repeated 24 hours a day, so that when you wake up, they see if you remember the word.
You're like, yes, I would like fries with that.
Yeah, and these were
Always.
smoke. Right. So the guys, these were all done under the guise of medical treatments or medical experiments. There was I'm not sure if it was under MK Ultra, but the U.S. government also had one where they took it was the Tuskegee experiment, where they took homeless men and infected them with syphilis and kept them in a lock ward to watch their minds degrade from the final stage of syphilis and then eventually die from this untreated disease.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the movie Men Who Stare at Goats, that's what they're talking about.
It's a wonderful dark comedy about MK Ultra and its other projects, but yeah, very similar to that movie, and kind of scary.
Yeah, the more
I've never
you
seen the
read
movie.
up on it, the more scary it gets. And you could just sit there going from link to link to link on the internet and spend, weeks reading about this.
That's part of their experiment.
Exactly.
Whoa.
And even a
So
bunch of
YouTube is still part of the experiment because I will go on there to watch one thing. 4 hours later, I'm still there.
And the longer
You're like,
you're
I
on
just
YouTube-
wanted to watch that Felicia Day video, and next thing I know, why am I
And you always end up
watching
in the
this?
really dark places of YouTube as well too.
Yeah, it's like you start off watching, hey, look, there's a cute video about a kitten, and then an hour later you're watching like I don't know some person
Open heart
covered in
surgery.
yogurt, eating yogurt off their head.
Or that.
That was actually a commercial.
Really? You
Yes.
can see here that even the documents they released in the 90s, even the ones they released are all heavily redacted.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there's almost no unredacted parts.
I wonder who
It's
does
almost like
that.
looking at the UFO documents. If you've ever seen them.
Whoever actually is the guy who goes and highlights all that to cover it up.
That would be a fun
That
job.
would be an awesome.
They're probably
job.
dead by
Well,
now.
Yeah, and
Once they
from
finish,
marker
they
fumes.
get boom.
yeah.
Or that, yes.
Or there was a document. Wasn't there a document a while back? I can't remember if it was like the Canadian government or the U.S. government that released it. It had a whole bunch of redacted sections, but they released it in PDF, and apparently they blacked it
Yes.
out electronically.
I hate to say
So
it, that was probably
essentially-
Canadian.
And it was like they
Actually-
highlighted the text and set the background to be black. So it was
Oh,
black text and black
God.
background. So if you highlighted the rows, you'd see what was written. there.
Actually,
wow.
last year for Fun Drive, we had a special event called Strange Encounters, where we had Stanton Friedman, who's local to the area, come on and talk about all sorts of UFOs and things like that. And he was talking about that exactly. There was one with PDF, but he was also saying how when you would get printed documents, there are ways to see through the redacted. And he would tell people that during lectures, and then basically they got wise and fixed it and told him stop telling people.
What, you never marker a document
Yeah.
and then give a person that copy. You marker it and then photocopy
Photocopy
it.
it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And give
Exactly.
them the photocopy. Then destroy the original.
Yep.
I've actually done, they're a whiteout first, then marker on top of that as well too. But you're right,
Wait,
still.
what are you redacting?
You don't want to know. I mean, I can't tell you.
But if you have the original, if you have whiteout and
Oh, yeah.
you have the original, you can always turn it around and you'll be able to find out what it actually said.
Well, I see the embossing from the pen or whatever else, yeah.
It's really cool.
All right, so another one from corporate America. You want to know how crazy corporations are? This is nuts. Apparently, the Jeffrey Dahmer was actually a hired actor, portrayed to play the part of a crazy serial killer.
He's good.
In order for the Ambrosia Chocolate Company to tear down one of their buildings, rebuild the factory, all with, trying to find the actual wording here. Okay, so yeah, so they knock down the factory so they can rebuild a new one with illegal tax breaks.
I see.
So the whole thing about the Jeffrey Dahmer killings and the other atrocities that this individual apparently did. Nope.
I found a website, speaking of actors. There is a guy out there who runs this whole blog devoted to the idea that everyone we see on the media, everything we see on TV is faked, staged, and acted by a small core group of actors, and that it's all the media trying to control everything that we see. And he goes so far as to spot which actor is this real person. The only one that I can remember is the Pope, Benedict, the one who just left, is actually Robert Blake Beretta. And then he posts side-by-side pictures, and he uses all of the facial measurements to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's this. The latest one is the Sandy Hook school shooting. That
I've heard about that.
Yeah, some of the families that were there giving impact statements look very, very, very similar to families who reacted when their houses were destroyed during Katrina. Oh, well, that proves it. They're the same people. They're fake. They're staged actors.
Actually, Fred, I've seen one of that too. Unfortunately, too, it was one of the families of actually one of the kids.
Yeah.
And they were smiling and they were laughing, and it's like, do these people look like the people who just lost a child and all their friends to this horrible, horrible situation that happened? But when you played the actual clip that was taken from, they were telling stories about their child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was just
terrible.
horrific.
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 There was
Completely
also
deplorable.
Yes.
somebody had created a Facebook page of one of the teachers and was posting during and things like that. When she was supposed to have been dead, but it was very obvious that you could go back and see that it had been created like that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like all sorts of conspiracies.
There's some really
there was
sick individuals out
there was another one like that too. It was a Facebook group basically, basically memory of everyone won everything else. But it was created like a year before. How do you explain that? Easily. They changed the name of the page.
Yeah.
It was a pre-existing page that wasn't being used, so the owner of it decided, let's do this instead.
Which, by the way, you can do all the time, and that's what they normally do in order to scam and spam you.
Yeah.
They get you to like a page that says, I hate baby killers, and next thing you know, you're signed up to get...
You like baby killers.
Yeah, exactly. I love baby killers. Exactly.
Now, there's an audio track for you, Mark.
Yes, I could take this totally. Everything that's being said here, I could take totally out of context.
That's an awesome quotation. Just put it on the main page.
So this also reminds me of the whole thing. Jim Morrison isn't dead.
Nope.
Neither's Elvis.
Elvis faked his death, but he actually died in the 90s.
That's sad.
And Paul is dead. Let's not forget about Paul is dead.
Which Paul?
Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah.
He has not played with the Beatles since the 60s. Or Stephanie was it?
But
apparently he died quite early on, and they replaced him with a lookalike.
Yeah.
Sound alike. And they were making references to it in a lot of their different album covers and things like that. Like that's
he's
why
out of step on the album for Abbey Road, and he's
the
barefoot.
Barefoot one. And
Yeah. And if you play the songs backwards, you hear Paul is dead.
Apparently on Reddit, some guy posted a picture. And if you look on that Abbey Road cover, in the background, there's some guy standing on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy actually posted a picture of himself and like an alternate picture from that time. Because he was that guy standing back there.
Oh,
It was
cool.
on Reddit, yeah.
Yes.
Tangent.
And also, their John Lennon knew too much, so the CIA actually had him knocked off.
I've heard that one.
Back to the moon landing.
Yeah.
Apollo 1 never took. It never took off. It burned on the pad and killed the 3 astronauts aboard. And they say that they had to kill one of the astronauts, Gus Grissom, because he was going to go public with the faked moon landings, and that the whole Apollo project was a fake. So they killed him on the pad to shut him up.
Sounds like an expensive way to kill someone.
Yeah, and incredibly disrespectful to one of the Mercury 7. So I'm not a big fan of that one.
No,
I'm going to go back to the video clip online of, who was it? Is it Buzz Aldrin or...
The one where he punched out someone.
I forget who it was that punched him.
I think it was Buzz.
Was it Buzz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was someone
That's kind of how I feel.
Show notes material right there.
Yeah, essentially someone...
You should see a picture of that right down here on your screen right now. Click on this link.
Yeah, in the underpants.
There. What?
Or that's what they call
What?
it. The underbar, the underpants.
They call that the underpants?
The doobly-doo.
Andy calls it
Andy
the
calls
underpants.
it.
You got to get up on your YouTube
The
lingo.
doobly-doo is way down. It's
That's
the,
true. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were referencing the doobly-doo.
No. It's YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, we have an interactive section where there's a bar right around this area here.
Which now works.
Covering the mics. But no, I thought you were talking
In the nether
about
region of your screen.
the underbar, or it's called the underbar, or the doobly-doo, or the underpants, or...
It's all a conspiracy.
And because I enjoy
crotch.
making our
Indeed.
editor do extra work, he can also put links here, and put word bubbles all around here.
Damn
so
you.
enjoy.
Right.
Don't poke the bear.
Now you realize those are all going to be pointing at Powerpuff
Why, if you poke the
Girls,
bear,
My
he'll
Little
lick you?
Pony, and
So, getting back to the New World Order, by the way, one of my favorite ones I didn't get to mention yet is the alien lizard people. That's right. There are alien lizard people.
I can top you. Trust me. Go for it.
The Slovene?
Kind of.
Okay.
And they are here controlling the Earth, and apparently the royal family are alien lizard people.
explains a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
Little bit.
I thought that was really interesting. I think my favorites are the population control or dumbing people down, though.
Yeah.
I definitely
I
like
don't know. I
that.
think it would be kind of cool if some of these were true, because it
How
kind
do
of
you
turns
know
us into
they're
sci-fi
not?
world.
Yeah. Really. Now, since I second top you, these two go in. They're complete opposites, but they tie into. World War II was completely staged. Not just a Holocaust. World War II itself never happened. My grandparents, if they were still alive, I'm sure they would be beating me right now if I said that out loud to them. It was all done by the Illuminati, which, by the way, for a secret society, they suck at being secret.
They really do.
Everyone-
They put their
Everyone
tag
knows
everywhere.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going on with that, Hitler and Hitler and some of his generals escaped to the Antarctic in submarines to live with there's some So Hitler and some of his associates, they actually escaped to the Antarctic in a submarine in order to live with a super advanced alien race who resides in Hollow Earth. Wow.
Now I have a question.
All those
I've heard this one before.
Are they living with Superman? Because that's where his Fortress of Solitude is.
No, his is in the Arctic.
Arctic. This is they went to the Arctic and now they're now they're under but they're in the middle of the Earth now.
Right, they're in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Our editor can also find a link to the Hollow Earth Society is planning an expedition, and I saw they had a website where they were looking for money. They were going to the North Pole to find the hole in the Earth to go live with the dinosaurs.
Yep.
That makes cool. We can put a link up here.
So then Journey to the Center of the Earth is actually a documentary.
I got a Canadian one.
All right.
Oh.
Does it exist?
There are no Canadian conspiracy theories.
Well, besides the nicotine in the Timmy's coffee, but we won't go into that one.
That's true.
That's not a conspiracy. That's real.
That's just fact.
It's just delicious.
So everybody here knows the Avro Arrow.
Yes.
Perhaps the most beautiful plane ever designed, canceled by the Canadian government in the early 60s.
I know of it because of Dan Aykroyd.
Which was a fantastic movie that they made showcasing the story of this plane.
What movie?
The Arrow.
Wasn't he just in the
It was called The Arrow?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen it. Sorry.
It was a made-for-TV thing.
Yeah.
Miniseries.
Quite a while ago, back when the our Heritage commercials were on.
I miss those.
By the way, I
I
fully
miss the
support
sacrilege
this
moment
theory
parodies of those.
because my hometown made money off of The Arrow being canceled.
Right. So we all know that once the Arrow project was canceled and all of the engineers at Avro were out of a job, they all went down to the United States to work in the aeronautical industry, and they basically everything from all the great jets of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s are all because partly because of these Canadian engineers that were working there, like the Space Shuttle F-14, F-16. All of these great planes were made in part by Canadian engineers. Now, the Arrow was canceled and replaced with a missile and an aircraft, both from the United States. There's been many, many conspiracy theories out there, but last night doing some research, I found a new one, and I really like this one, is that if you do the research, the real reason the Arrow was canceled it wasn't the plane itself. The plane worked. It was the engines. The development of the engines was behind. They were over budget. They were over time. And the airplane was working with substandard engines. The plane didn't work right. So the real reason the engines failed was due to industrial sabotage by American manufacturers who could not stand a competitor. And that at the same time that the Arrow was canceled, the British Back 2 Lightning was canceled, the North American XF-108 Rapier was canceled. All of these great planes, all at almost the same time, all shut down their research, and they all bought planes by other companies. So they say it wasn't government sabotage, it wasn't a government conspiracy, it was industrial sabotage.
That makes sense.
It kind of does.
The conspiracy I heard was that it was canceled because they used some alien technology in the manufacture of it.
I think I
the one
like
I
Fred's
heard.
explanation a little bit better.
Well, his is more plausible.
But
Mine's cool.
the
You see
saboteurs were alien lizard people, right?
There you go.
But this
Crawl out of the Hollow
They
Earth.
live with
this
Hitler.
kind of conspiracy happens all the time. It's actually, I mean, it's capitalism,
Yeah.
straight up capitalism.
What is it? Corporate espionage?
Corporate espionage, and it happens all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a whole issue with Nikola Tesla. And,
Oh, yes.
Edison.
Free
Edison,
energy.
And the whole reason, like, essentially Edison realized you couldn't make money off of it.
You couldn't
Or-
meter it.
Yeah, so he kind of spent his fortune to kind of discredit and
Edison was a bully,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and he
Edison,
hired thugs.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
hands
he
down.
also wanted to use an inferior form of power transmission, direct current power, because it would require a substation
Yeah.
every 2 or 3 blocks or something ridiculous like that, which he would have the patent on, and he would have to create and maintain.
Oh yeah,
the
he was
substations.
just looking at the dollar signs.
Yeah.
He used to bring animals
Oh,
and
geez, the
torture
elephants.
them and electrocute them to show how dangerous
Yeah.
Tesla's power was and everything.
There's a video, sadly, about an elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I do not want to.
I don't ever want to
I've
see that.
heard
I will cry.
horrible,
We will
horrible
not. We will
things.
not be linking to that.
No, 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 no,
We will
no,
not
no,
be
no.
linking to it up here.
There'll be nothing here.
Yeah.
Link to fuzzy bunnies here.
Yeah.
But Mark, speaking of free power, what were you and I talking about yesterday at your place?
We were talking about pharmaceuticals. Well,
X-nay on the pills, eh?
Was the conversation along the lines of, hey, look what I found?
Perpetual motion machine.
we were talking about, I mean, this comes down to another money thing, too. Like the pharmaceutical companies making more money keeping people sick rather than curing them. So a treatment for the disease is far more profitable.
Yeah, so let's say cancer has actually been cured, but the large corporations are keeping it on the rafts because they make more money from you being sick and on meds your entire life. Think about it. If they said we cured cancer, think of the money they would get from that in the first place and their name brand being out there.
There's a really interesting documentary. It's out on Netflix, and it's called...
Don't take a zeitgeist.
No.
Good.
Dr. Sprzinski, I think his name is. He supposedly found a not 100% cure for cancer, but it was like around 60-70% cure, which is
And it was all
actually pretty good.
homeopathic.
Wait, wasn't
No.
that a Sean Connery movie?
Oh God, homeopathy. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
That's a show in itself.
And I wouldn't say it's a conspiracy. Well, it's a conspiracy taking
Yes, it
money.
is.
for
No,
nothing.
well, with the homeopathy show, we can just record like a 2-minute thing and just stretch it across, and that way.
It'd be 1 second clip over 5 hours.
Okay. Anyway,
The most effective show ever.
essentially what it is things like that nature. When you think about it, I mean, sure, it makes a whole lot of sense. It is far more profitable to keep people sick. It just is. You can't really deny that. Does that make it so? Does that make it true that the pharmaceutical companies are doing that? No, because that's not really evidence that they're doing that. That's not enough to convince
It's
me.
just motive.
And this is where most conspiracy theories come from. It's people thinking up things and saying, "Well, that's very, very plausible. Therefore, it must be true."
Or well, hey, on a funny note, Mad TV did a really good skit about the president wakes up 6 years into his 2 terms to find that he's been drunk the whole time and he blacked out and doesn't remember what happened, and his aide is letting him know what he's done while he's been out drunk. And it's like, well, you cured cancer. Really? How'd I do that? Easy. You took 10 of the heads of the world's biggest corporation and gave them all cancer. Within 6 months, we had 9 different cures.
No, see that's one thing there. The proof that there's no cure for cancer is that Steve Jobs died.
Of cancer.
Hey, there you go.
Perhaps we can get back into it here by bringing up another topic.
I have
Yes.
one, and this is a big one actually. It's called the Philadelphia Experiment. For those,
Mark's confused.
I know I heard this one before. I don't remember what it is exactly.
I was confused when Andy said he had one, and it was a big one too.
again.
That's fear.
So essentially, it's the whole thing is kind of based on a thing supposedly discovered by Albert Einstein called the unified field theory. Essentially, it's a way to kind of if you kind of
It bends light around an object.
Essentially, you can make something invisible. Is what they were trying to do.
Cloak and feel.
Yeah. So, and the whole thing is they were experimenting with one of the ships, the USS Eldridge, was essentially fitted out for this big experiment, and they were trying to make it invisible to radar and things like that. And the whole conspiracy theory goes is that during one of the tests, it was actually completely vanishes. And what people report seeing like a greenish fog in its place. And when it came back, some of the crew had gone insane. Other ones had kind of become fused with bulkheads and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, like they're half teleported through something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot were missing, were they not, too?
So, yeah, some were completely missing. One of the other experiments done with the same ship apparently says that it disappeared completely and teleported like halfway across the country.
Now, that's the one I heard, that it went to
was,
a different
was apparently seen by people where it teleported to, and then it came back afterwards, and a similar thing, whereas one guy actually apparently was halfway fallen through a deck, where half of them was on one, half was on the other, things like that. So realistically, apparently there was this type kind of testing being done, except it was for there was large generators on these ships to degauss the hull, to kind of make them immune to the magnetic mines that would stick to the hulls.
Oh, okay.
Degauss them to repel them away.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, and apparently it's something that's in use. That's used. They do that to the hulls to stop that.
Even to this day, minesweepers have wooden hulls.
Yeah.
There are very few metal hulled minesweepers for that very purpose because of the magnetic mines.
There were a bunch.
Yeah.
In Windows 3.1, remember that in Minesweeper?
Yeah.
That
No?
does
Nobody?
remind me
Okay.
of The Bermuda Triangle, which is a big one,
Oh,
and
yeah.
one of the longest conspiracy theories.
Yeah, things just disappearing in the Bermuda
Yeah.
Triangle. It could be just an area of the planet that has rather erratic weather patterns.
Speaking of
Tends
that,
to take-
apparently the Hudson Bay has like a giant gravitational anomaly in it.
The Hudson.
Yeah, yeah, I was reading about that.
Is this something that's actually, is this a conspiracy theory or is
no,
this
this is
something that's-
fact. Actually, this is there's
Get
probably
out.
some sort of conspiracy.
Is it a
theories around what's
gravitational thing
causing
or
it.
is it a magnetic thing?
Maybe it's a big magnetic.
I could understand magnetic. That's pretty.
Yeah, and I
actually,
think
it's kind of common.
there's theory about it being because of old glacial matter that was there and not there anymore, and it's the crust kind of moving to, or something like that. I don't know specifically. I only kind of perused it. This was unrelated to the research for the show today.
Yeah.
But
Well, magnetics can do some pretty crazy thing. See my article on Geekloo about flux pinning. Really interesting stuff. I don't know
Where's
if you've
the
read
link
that.
for
Well,
that?
isn't the Hudson Bay partially near the magnetic North Pole?
Yes.
Depends on the year,
Well,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does depend on the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the magnetic North Pole's near Greenland or under Greenland right now.
Oh, it moves. Oh, because
Yeah.
of the wobble of the Earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And about the whole magnetic thing, whenever we realized there was a technical difficulty, on this side here at least, as you and I once again were saying yesterday about the whole perpetual motion machines and how basically it's the big government associations and the big power companies are stopping that from really happening. But people make them in their backyard all the time, except they never work.
Right.
Yeah.
Perpetual motion machines. This is one of those things, and of course, if an engineer or a scientist,
As you made the mistake of commenting on YouTube.
yes,
For shame.
a big mistake. If you point out the reasons why this doesn't work and the scientific reasons, the typical response is you're brainwashed. You're brainwashed with science.
Yep.
Apparently,
You're
which
part of
is
the problem.
Just so incredibly frustrating when you.
They
when you talk
brainwashed
about-
me with science.
Well, if you believe
Reasoning.
in your higher power, then you don't need science. And, obviously science is just the devil's work tricking you.
Right.
Indeed.
It brings up another one. I'm sure we've all heard the urban legend of the guy back in the 1950s who figured out how a car can run off steam. And then
Regular tap
somebody
water.
came. Yep, regular tap water.
Yep.
And somebody came from the big three and
bought up his patent or something like
bought
that.
up his patent, killed his children, however the story goes.
There's different variations of it. Yeah.
Prevented him
There's
from
the-
ever making
There's the
it.
one of the guy who figured out how to, by drilling one extra hole in a carburetor,
Yes.
you could make it go 100 miles
The
per gallon.
100, yeah. Yeah. One as well,
Somebody,
too.
one of the big three, would have done that to their vehicles and outsold
Once
the
again,
other guys.
the
It would've
money they
happened.
would have made
Yes.
was say, hey, our new whatever does 100 miles per the gallon because they're not in league with Exxon or big Shell, whoever else that we know of at least. Maybe. And it was, and they could have made a buttload of money on that.
Yeah.
Tying in with this as well, going back to Tesla, one of the conspiracy theories is that he had this electric car thing that he did a demo of for the government, where it was this mysterious black box that he put these cylinders into, and they drove around this electric car all day, all through the countryside and everything. And this is back in early 1900s.
Yes.
Yes. And they were able to do this. But nobody seems to know exactly what the box was made out of and all that.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know who knows? The pigeon.
Yeah. Actually, that ties in with another.
Tesla's pigeon
Oh, okay.
that he was in love with.
But no, the whole essentially they think it might be some sort of form of wireless power transmission.
Yeah.
That was doing this, and that ties into another conspiracy thing called HARP. And I forgot to write down what HARP stood for. It's HAARP, and essentially it's kind of there's a whole bunch, or there's a base up in the Arctic. Crap, I only wrote down half of this.
I'm not sure where it is exactly, but it's a field
note-taking.
where they're heating up the ionosphere.
Yeah, there's like a giant radio transmitter
Yeah.
up there, and there's theories that this might be tied in with some sort of Tesla technology to do this, and there's all sorts of different theories that they're using this for mind control or for manipulating the weather, all sorts of different things. One of the worries is that it could trigger a cascade of electrons that will flip the North and South poles.
Oh, Lord.
And that one's kind of scary because the reversal of the pole's magnetic field has happened in the past, and it's something that happens. So that one is kind of has weight to it, which will scare the crap.
I think what they're actually doing, though, is pretty fascinating and scary also.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also, I've heard people make similar complaints about shortwave radio stations. And if anybody's ever been driving from New Brunswick to Nova Scotia, you've seen the big shortwave thing. People were always saying that had to do with mind control. And, well, the best prevention for that is tinfoil hats for some reason, even though tinfoil works as an antenna.
Or people who
Wait a
think
minute.
that
It's an inductor.
you can get cancer from high tension power lines, and that living near power lines will have negative health effects.
Or the cell phones. I can't have this cell phone up to my head because it will cause all sorts of problems with me. But instead, I'll wear the Bluetooth headset.
And that's better.
That's better.
Because that's better.
There are people that
transmission
believe...
power, yeah, technically is better because it's a short distance transmission.
Yeah,
From
but
the Bluetooth, I'm not advocating this in any way. I'm just pointing that out.
There's also people that believe that they can get sick from fluorescent lights.
yeah.
There are people that say that they hear a buzz from pretty much all lights. And there are people that live in what is known as radio-free zones. They are areas where there is no cellular, no radio, no wireless, nothing.
Yeah, dead zones.
Complete
They're awesome.
dead zones. And they've cultivated communities because people feel that they get sick from all the wireless communications.
Interesting.
There was a...
Oh, sorry, last one.
Yeah, last one. There was a PTA in the States that is trying to shut down the wireless networks in the school because they say their kids are getting sick from the Wi-Fi signal. So that it's the wireless internet is giving their kids headaches and...
I almost forgot one of my favorites because my favorite conspiracy theories are the really outlandish ones. Back in the 90s, we got blue M&Ms. Why did we get blue M&Ms? That is the government getting us used to eating blue food because we're eventually going to run out of natural resources and we're going to have to eat blue food.
Wow.
Alien food. Yep.
Alien food.
Alien food. That's why they're blue M&Ms.
Kind of want to eat alien food just to say I ate alien food. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Of course, everything we said on today's program should be taken with a grain of salt. Do your research, folks. Don't trust anything you see on the internet.
Not
And
even.
Especially us.
Especially us.
If any of this turns out to be true, we don't know which one it was. Leave us alone.
Know the
Also-
difference between a secondary and a primary source.
Yes.
Trust no.
And was that what you were going to say?
What?
You said also, and then you stopped.
I don't remember.
Yeah, you might want to
The
take that hat
thought
off.
was removed.
They're getting to them.
All right, we're gonna close it with these epic words here. I just looked up while we were talking. It's really short.
Something from Robert
Dan
Stack.
Brown and the Da Vinci Code. Everyone loves a conspiracy.
Or we could have obey.
You will obey. 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 Sorry.
Who's Obey?
Dude, super.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, we will see you again next week. Maybe.
Cue the music.
Hopefully.
Wait. I forgot my line.
Oh.
Number one. That's okay. Let's try it again.
Today we are talking about.
Conspiracy.
Oh my God, I blanked on.
Wow.
it. Just walking to Studio B is like looking at us all puzzled.
They're at Studio A, and I don't think they've noticed this yet, but this could get fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that Adrian?
It's Adrian.
Wave.
He's not looking yet.
Okay.
The main event.
The main event.
There it is.
Everybody wave. There we go. He's confused. Mission accomplished. Right.
Basically, this episode Epic is brought to you by Reynolds Wrap.
Link to something really awesome right here.
Or up there.
Or over here.
Epic.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Epic. Today we are talking about conspiracy theories, and with me here to talk about conspiracy theories is Nuke Chas,
Hello.
Fred Tech, the Clockwork Doctor, hello, Andy,
Hey.
Joel,
How's it going?
and Richard.
I need more names like Fred does. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I feel less fancy. Like,
I do.
You guys have so many names.
I lose track of them all. I just figured I'd put them all out there and you could sort them out later.
We'll have to think of cool nicknames for each other. We'll call this guy the Dirty Mime.
I kind of like Space Pimp.
I'm pointing at Joel. Space Pimp.
Pimp.
Space Pimp works.
Space Pimp.
Okay, so
Pimp, for short.
jump right into conspiracy theories here today. Maybe we should preface this by talking. We're not advocating any conspiracy theories on this show.
No.
Matter of fact, most of the ones that we don't.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, we're doing conspiracies today, right?
Yeah, conspiracies today. Things like the lunar landing being false, stuff like that.
What about our conspiracies?
What do you mean our conspiracies?
Well, Mark.
Mark,
Yeah. You ever notice that he's never flips a line?
what are you talking about? He screws up all the time.
Well, yeah, but none of that ever makes it to air. It's like he's doing some sort of fancy editing.
You mean like he's pulling the strings?
You know what I think he's doing? I think he's doing a fantastic job.
Hey, well, that was nice of you to say.
Wait. I didn't mean to say that. No. You know what I think? I think Mark's cool.
I agree. What's your point?
Wait. No. I didn't mean to say that. It's Mark. He's great. Damn it!
The premise of Paranormal Activity 4
Yeah.
was that ghosts were using the Kinect
No,
to
it's
use surveillance.
No, it was so that you could. There were certain scenes in it that it was tracking them. So it was like with the green dots were replaced. It was actually tracking other spirits. That's the premise of it.
Well, here's the cool thing is if that were true and they were tracking you with this, I saw kind of a technical demo online. Some guy managed to create a three-dimensional mapping feature with it. Where it started off with like a video of this guy talking, and he was talking about what his project was, and he goes, check this out, and he rotates the scene. And the video we were looking at was filmed with the Kinect, and it was actually a three-dimensional, fully mapped environment.
Now, almost the day that they came out, they were
Yeah.
cracked and hacked, and it's a cheap stereo camera setup for anybody doing any sort of 3D work. A ripped open Kinect is.
It's a gold mine.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you think about that, if they're spying on you and
Explicitly say are true, probably aren't. It's more of a ridicule show, and
here's the way we'll know if we catch on one that is true, we won't be airing anymore.
yes,
If
you
we
might not,
suddenly
Or this
disappear,
episode.
you might not
that's
ever
what
see
happened.
us.
If this is our last show, thanks for listening. You've been a great audience.
That being said, they probably won't hear this show then.
Yeah. All right, who wants to jump in first?
No,
Don't
we're
be
all
scared.
We're all a little bit afraid. Just a small amount of us says, yeah, maybe not.
They might be watching.
Okay, let's start off.
Are there
with
any Kinects in here?
some what? Canucks?
Kinects.
That's my number one, actually.
Okay.
Well, it's segue. I'll start then. Apparently, the Microsoft Kinect has fine print saying that the company is not responsible for any surveillance done by the U.S. government.
Really?
So basically, the U.S. government itself might be tapping into your Xbox Kinect, not so much with the PlayStation Eye, I guess. But,
Yeah, I believe part of
According to what you do, they can actually get a three-dimensional model of your wherever you have your Kinect set up. So if they were going to, take you in the middle of the night, they would know exactly.
they'd know where the laundry was so they wouldn't trip.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Great.
Is there a GPS unit in the Kinect? Because if that was...
it's called your IP address.
Yeah. Ooh, that is kind of scary.
So now they know your house, they know your layout, they know everything on your walls, they know what's in your DVD collection.
I'll say,
Actually-
which means if they can track your location, they can easily find the blueprints, which are public record.
Now,
Or
maybe.
they could just watch you when you're sitting in front of the TV in a short skirt. I'm looking at you, Mark. Actually, no, that actually reminded me of there's a vlog that I watch online, and
wow, there's a leap I don't want to understand.
I know. Well, it's two roommates, and they were talking about the Kinect on the Xbox. They were trying to do the voice commands for it, and it wasn't working right. And one of them said, "I don't trust that thing because I was watching TV the other day, sitting on the floor in a skirt, and I watched the eye move down."
Well, I will say that